I look all right. I wanted to, gussy up for Pride a little bit, but I need to get me a new hat. Oh, hey! Hi! It's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, with the Fingerdoo review of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Star Season 5, Episode 4. And before we get started, I have just a couple of announcements. First of all, happy Pride, everybody! Pride weekend. I hope you're having a good one. I hope you're staying safe and clean and washing stuff and all of that jazz. Also, I have a couple of apologies. The first apology is Stephanie S. Santwanaparp, Sweet Marie and the Ships at Sea. I don't know what my problem is, but I seem to have spelled your name every way you physically can except the one that you use. And I'm sure I have it done right. If I don't, oh my goodness, I blame Jorge. I mean, he has nothing to do with it, but if it's still wrong, I blame Jorge. And seriously, I'm so sorry to get your name wrong. I know personally I hate it when my name gets wrong. People only ever give me 1 O. I'm a 2 O girl. Seriously. Also, Barbara Fisher, you tipped me back in April, and I'm sure I didn't thank you. Not that I wasn't grateful, but I do want to say thank you so much for your contribution. And my apologies for that oversight. I don't know what that... Seriously. It's not Jorge. It's the drinks he gives me. Also from PayPal, I want to thank Adele Salerno. Hello, Adele. Thank you so much. And Vito Bacuzzi. There, Vito. I think I finally got it right. I also want to thank Stacy Anderson, Jacoby Rodriguez, Tim Eller, and finally, Susan Nicoloi. I'm going to say that's how you say your last name, and if I'm wrong, please let me know, as Vito did, and I will correct that as well. Thank you to all my pal tippers. Is that what we're calling them? The PayPal tippers? And I also want to send a shout out to Lar D'Souza, who, as most of you know by now, designed 2 new designs for my Redbubble store. The first one is Seriously. People were wanting a Seriously design, and so I said to Lar, what do you think? And then he said, well, take me some pictures, and then I didn't do that. And then all of a sudden this showed up. And I have to say, I love this. All of the words Seriously are spelled by little cocktail umbrellas. So seriously, if you're looking for a shirt and you're trying to keep track of your cocktails, that's the one to get. But let me warn you, one too many of them in your hair, and all of a sudden the dress you're wearing starts looking like a kimono, and it's Betty Davis and Madam Sin all over again. Seriously. I call that design Seriously umbrellas. And of course then, finally, you've asked for it, Lard did it, here it is. Sweet Marie and the Ships at Sea. I'm a mermaid, shut your face. So fantastic. So these designs are available on Redbubble as we speak. You can go there, you can get masks, or whatever. And thanks to all of you that have bought a couple of masks. The Seriously umbrellas design have already been bought as masks, so I'm just waiting to be tagged in a photo. And if you do buy something from Redbubble, please tag me in the photo so that I can post it here and let people know what y'all are buying, because there have been some things going on, and I'm very, very excited. So, that's that. Now it's time to get to it. Oh, Jorge, drink me! Ooh, what is this? Very colorful. An Aperol Spritz. Oh, so classic summer, classic summer. Oh, it's a lot of Aperol, and a Spritz is more like an Aperol slab. No, I'm all right. That's good. Okay, so let's get to it. So we started this episode off with the remaining queens just clearly feeling a little shell-shocked. Okay, well, mostly Shea Coulee. I mean, that's as close to the bottom as she'll ever want to get. I'm so serious. And still, though, you could tell that this was a big deal for the other girls, not only because the decision on who to eliminate was so big, but also because it was Mariah Paris Balenciaga. How do you vote somebody like that out? It just clearly, these girls were feeling it. The elimination process is clearly taking its toll. And yes, elimination process was my drag queen name in high school. So, as grateful as Shea was to not have been eliminated, she still wanted to see how the voting went. Much to Mayhem's chagrin, I'm so serious. Clearly, she thought more queens were going to take advantage of Shea being in the bottom to eliminate her, and then she wouldn't have found herself in the awkward position that she found herself now. Seriously, do these queens just not think before they vote, or do they actually think on some level that their vote will remain private? I mean, come on. World of Wonder and VH1 hangs their storylines on drama like that. So clearly, anytime anyone says or does anything in private on Drag Race and there's a camera around, well, it's not going to be private for long, I'm just saying. You know, as lovely as she is, I am so glad that she was plotting her revenge. Seriously, Alexis and Mayhem had better watch out, or Shea will kick their padded butts till hell won't have it anymore. And seriously, that's drama. At least both Mayhem and Alexis were forthright about voting for Shea, and at least they seem to have good-ish reasons not to. I mean, they both said that they couldn't vote Mariah out, but then trust Grandma Barbie to bring up the fact that there was another queen to vote for. Why not India? Either way, I'm a little surprised that Shea took it so personally. I mean, I thought she should be flattered. This is a competition. Clearly the other queens are scared of her, and they're not afraid of playing a little dirty if it means getting her out of the way so that they can win the crown. And let's all remember, no one feels dirty wearing a crown. Or so I'm told. The next day in the workroom, the queens officially said goodbye to Mariah, Paris, Balenciaga, and as sad as they were, Juju was still a little thrilled to wipe off her first lipstick message. And thank God Shea was there to walk her through it. This being her first time at all. Juju didn't care though. She was already thinking about her second win and a possible tip of $20,000. Then Alexis chirped up. She reminded everyone of the All-Stars curse. Win a challenge one week, land in the bottom the next. Look how Juju, I think, is what she was saying. Thank God Ru showed up with this week's Maxi-challenge, SheMZ, an improv challenge, which can be a dreaded thing to some queens and a time to shine for others. But before the queens could overthink it too much, Ru just arbitrarily divided them up into teams. Didn't even ask them anything. Team 1 was India and Mayhem, who seemed to be fairly happy about this pairing, and their scandalous situation cast India as a kleptomaniacal celebrity and Mayhem as the shop girl who finds her in the middle of a 5-finger discount snatch. Team 2 had Juju playing an overprotective drag mother, typecasting, Blair as her obnoxious daughter, more typecasting, and Cracker as the shady queen in the middle of a college admissions scandal. It could happen. That left Shea and Alexis on Team 3, and look at Shea's face. That smile wouldn't melt butter. I'm so serious. Sometimes karma's a bitch, and it's called RuPaul's Drag Race. They were playing two queens from the reality show The Fake Wives of Tuckahoe. Shea as the icy drag queen who was fired for being too fake, and Alexis as the messy queen who was fired for, well, being too messy. The typecasting continues. Well, that's what Shea said. And then the queens got right down to work. Over on Team 1, we found out that the typecasting ran a little deeper than we had at first suspected. India, cast as a shoplifting socialite, admitted to Mayhem that she'd actually been arrested for stealing dresses when she started out in drag. Well, that explains her Season 3 wardrobe. Over on Team 3, Alexis and Shea were getting on like Auntie Mame and Vera Charles. Icily. Sure, they were all smiles on the outside, but there was a distinct chill in the air. Especially when Shea mentioned to Alexis, well, that every queen that she'd ever been teamed up with had gone home. Well, except where it counted. Sasha Velour. Alexis wasn't worried, though. She just kept barreling on, making little jabs at Shea as she went. Good plan, Alexis. You keep poking the bear. See how far that gets you. Over on Team 2, it was a completely different story, and by that, I mean that it was Cracker's story. Again, poor Cracker. She had it in her head that Blair was plotting against her, and then told her as much. Good plan. I mean, if there's one way to ensure somebody is plotting against you, it's to tell them that you think they're plotting against you. Seriously. Cracker told Blair that she'd heard from Shea that she'd heard it from, Well, and that's already too many lines in this game of telephone. I'm so serious. The only way on RuPaul's Drag Race to make sure anything that you hear is true is to hear it from the horse's mushmaker, or, in the case of Blair, the show pony. Nay. And then it was off to the SheMZ bullpen. And can I just say, it's so funny watching these queens butch up in boy drag, especially Justin Bieber there. Or is it Ellen? First, Shea and Alexis from the Fake Wives of Tuckahoo. Videographer Ross Matthews caught up with these two queens having an uncharacteristically friendly lunch for two. Well, that's what Alexis was having. But the real news wasn't that Alexis was pregnant, it was that Shea was pregnant also, and with the same baby daddy as Alexis. Or so they both would have us believe. No, they were both faking it, or quite possibly in Alexis's case, she was doing it to hide the pounds. All in all, despite Alexis and Shea's initial coolness towards each other, I thought their scene went pretty well. I mean, who doesn't love a good pillow fight? Next, Ross, the videographer, caught up with Drag U Admissions mastermind, allegedly, Ms. Cracker, as she was exiting the Michelle Visage Free Clinic, where she was confronted by the recently incarcerated Juju and her spoiled rotten daughter, Blair. Well, the accusations started to fly, and so did the slaps. There was even a suggestion of a shady tryst between Cracker and Juju, which I didn't completely understand, but then, I drink. All in all, I did not hate this scene. I was disappointed that Blair did get lost in the background, but how could she not? I mean, Juju's a hoot, and Ms. Cracker delivered the funniest line of the whole evening, which was that Juju and her relationship had been over more bumps than her makeup stick. Finally, Ross caught up with India, who was allegedly taking advantage of a self-imposed 5-finger discount at Mayhem's boutique. To distract Ross from the real story, though, India started licking a donut. I still don't know why. I'm not mad at it. I just don't know why. Well, apparently Mayhem wasn't mad at it either, because she joined right in, but Ross would have none of it. He knew he was being distracted from the real story and asked India point out if she had sticky fingers. I don't know if her fingers were sticky, but her vagina seemed to be, because, well, she seemed to have a vase or two up there. I keep changing mine. I thought this scene was okay. I was worried initially because neither of these queens really have big personalities, and I thought they delivered as best they could. It still wasn't my favorite, probably because of the donuts. And then it was elimination day, and there were two things that intrigued me right out of the gate. The first thing was how well Shea and Alexis seemed to be getting along. I mean, there was still an underlying layer of ice there, which possibly inspired the other thing that intrigued me, Alexis' camo look, which was a winter camo, which as a Canadian, I was intrigued by. No one seemed more surprised by how well Shea and Alexis were getting along than Shea herself. She had a really good time working with Alexis and even thought that they had a chance at being in the top, but that didn't mean she's going to start trusting Alexis. Well, certainly no further than she could throw her. India was also feeling confident, and so she should. This was her best challenge so far. But was it better than any of the other girls? The judges will let her know soon enough. And then Grandma Barbie, under the suggestion of somebody from the production team, I'm sure, asked the room if anyone had been TMZ'd. Well, we all knew that Blair had. She talked about it a bit in last week's Untucked, and I have to say it was really interesting to hear how it affected her. I mean, it's easy for us to hear one side of a story. Somebody was caught drinking and driving, and that's the end of the story. We don't know about what comes after or how that person, it affected them or how they changed if they did at all. And it was really intriguing to hear Blair's side of the story and how she dealt with it. Here's to you, Blair. Good for you. Yeah. And then Mayhem spilled her tea, much to the shock of the rest of the room. Myself included, I'm so serious. Not only did she have a DUI, she had two. And she'd been to jail for it, I'm so serious. Needless to say, the room was shook. I know I was. But I was also impressed. It's understandable for anyone to want to be the life of the party, especially when you're a drag queen. And it's because of that that you don't often hear these stories of personal lows. These people don't want to show the cracks in the veneer of their fabulousness, and they hide it. And what's sad about that is that when we don't talk about these low points and these low struggles, fans, especially young ones, see their idols living the life and doing what they consider to be handling it, and then they think they can too, when in reality, nobody can handle it. So, seriously, here's another double thumbs up to Mayhem. It's a good conversation to have, Mayhem. Thanks. And then it was time for the runway, and, well, who else was bracing themselves for another dud on RuPaul's back? I know I was. But no, Zaldi threw us a bone, and Ru came down the runway in this fantastic number. I mean, seriously, what does he do? Blow his wad on one dress and then phone in the next 2 or 3? I love this asymmetrical fantasy with the RuPaul-themed oversized print. It was everything, but it brought up another... this is a silly question from me, but I've often wondered, why doesn't Ru wear an outfit that's themed to the runway like the rest of the queens? I mean, I can understand she doesn't have to. She's not competing, but it would be nice, no? Maybe she's just afraid of one of the other queens showing her up. I'm guessing. Joining Michelle Visage and Carson Kressley on the judges panel this week, from Family Matters, it was Sarah Hyland and, well, no Ross Matthews. Apparently he tuckered himself out lugging that camera around. And this week the category was, come on, Camo Couture. And first up was Jujubee, looking fabulous, I have to say. I really like this outfit, although I did think it was a little simple. One thing I would have done would have been to have had the camouflage fabric on the outside of the cape and then have the lining in that beige, so it would have broken up the dress from the lining of the cape. But I still thought it was cute. What I didn't think it was couture. Cracker's look, on the other hand, was totally couture. I loved it all. I loved her makeup. I loved the wig. I loved the outfit. I even didn't hate the fact that her boots weren't camo. She didn't need it. Blair's look was magical. It was as if Groot and G.I. Joe had a baby in Middle Earth. Too bad those sleeves seem to have a mind of their own, though. Shea Coulee was gorgeous in her gardening camo. I'm just sorry that the stage lighting was blue because she kind of disappeared into the background, which is probably the point. I have to admit, I liked Alexis's outfit way more in the workroom. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the makeup, that white forehead. It distracted me. Mayhem Miller had a lot of nerve wearing a bathing suit down the runway, even with those cute boots. I could just hear Michelle Visage reading her for it the whole time. And yes, Cute Boots was my drag queen name in high school. Now, this is not a read, but I would never have recognized that as India Farah. No offense. I mean, the snatched red wig, the camo kimono, the makeup. She looked good. And I was impressed. It still sounds like a read. And then Ru announced that Shea and Blair were safe, much to their own relief. And a little to Alexis's chagrin, I'm so serious. Well, it was obvious that the judges loved Juju's performance. Sarah even made a point of saying that she liked that she was a yes and improviser, which, if you know improvisation, is high praise indeed. But as predicted, Carson wasn't impressed by her outfit. He felt it was lacking that wow factor, that little extra something to put her over the top. Told you. Miss Cracker's critique started with a love fest from Michelle Visage, and it didn't end there. All the judges were impressed, not only with her performance of the challenge, but also with her camo couture. Thank God. Now maybe Cracker can take a breath. Alexis had a pretty good critique. The judges loved her runway, but Michelle did point out that she did talk over Shea a lot during their scene, which ended up confusing things. Eek. Mayhem surprised me during her critique. Maybe it was the judges calling her out on lackluster runway, or maybe it was her own frustration at her performance in her own scene. But she definitely was defensive on that runway, and she had a large side of tude to go with it. And here's another thing. If Michelle Visage says that you have attitude, you have attitude. Don't argue. Last but not least was India, and everyone seemed to love her runway, even Sarah, who asked her to recreate that look on her. I don't know if she looked good in it, but I'm just saying, they were impressed. But she got the same kind of critique that Mayhem had where her performance was concerned, even with that clumsy puss. And yes, Clumsy Puss was my drag queen name in high school. Oops. Then it was time for Ru to announce this week's top queen, and much to her own surprise, it was Ms. Cracker. Good for her. And who landed in the bottom? Well, it was India and Mayhem, much to Alexis's relief. Seriously. And then the queens untucked, and everyone was shocked to hear that Mayhem and India were in the bottom. They thought they had the best scene. Well, they were wrong. That really made it awkward for Cracker to talk to two queens about why they should stay when she thought they'd already had the best scene. Seriously. But that's not what made it awkward. What really made it awkward was the fact that Mayhem don't like Cracker. Seriously. While they were talking, India took that opportunity to throw Mayhem under the bus in front of the other queens. She admitted to them that she felt that Mayhem was holding back during their scene, which is something that she repeated to Miss Cracker, which I think may possibly have been that push that Miss Cracker needed to make her choice. I'm just saying. In direct contrast, while she was pleading her case to the other queens, Mayhem had nothing but praise for her scene partner, and even went so far as to say to the other queens that she was okay with whatever decision they made, which confused the hell out of Jujubee. She was wondering why Mayhem wasn't fighting for this harder. She wasn't the only one. And then it was time to vote. And in any other season of RuPaul's Drag Race, India being in the bottom for a third week in a row would have been tantamount to her going home. But no, Shay was playing her vindictive card. And because she'd voted for Shay last week, Shay was voting Mayhem Miller home. Touche. It didn't seem to be near as easy a decision for Ms. Cracker to make, but after she gave herself a good firm talking to, she got there. And then the queens returned to the main stage where the secret lip sync assassin was revealed to be Morgan McMichaels, who I'd like to point out is not from season 3 of Drag Race. She's from season 2. Come on, Ru. Check your fact checkers. Just saying. This was a great lip sync. Morgan McMichaels did not make it easy for Ms. Cracker, and Ms. Cracker didn't let it bother her. She duck walked. She splits. She did whatever the hell that was. She even played peekaboo. Morgan was a hoot, but Cracker left nothing on that stage. Well, except herself. So when it was all said and done, I have to admit I was a little shocked when Ru announced it was a tie. So was Cracker. And then I was shocked some more when Ru reminded us, because it was a tie, if there were 2 different names on the lipsticks, 2 girls could be going home. Well, Mayhem and India loved hearing that. And who had the queens voted for? Well, Morgan McMichaels revealed that they had voted for Mayhem Miller. And, much to India's relief, so had Ms. Cracker. But I'm not surprised. It really felt there in the workroom that Mayhem had given up. And I have to say, I for one will be sorry to see her go. I'm so serious. So, only 6 queens left. Is next week going to be the week that India finally gets the chop? Or will Shay be able to exact her revenge on Alexis Mateo? All we can do is tune into RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars Season 5 next week, and then when you're done, you come on back and see me so you and I can compare notes. Now, please don't forget to like this video. Also, please subscribe. I'm less than 250 subscriptions away from 5,000. I couldn't be more happy. And thanks to all of you that have subscribed so far. Also, if you'd like to support me, I'm accepting tips on PayPal. I have more than enough room for Patreoners on Patreon. And if you'd like one of the fabulous new Lar D'Souza illustrations, they're available on merchandise from Redbubble. Those links are all down below. And until next week, miss me! Mwah! And have a happy, safe Pride. Keep your hands clean. Seriously. Where's my drink order? Oh, this is... I love this Aperol Spritz. It's very summery. Yeah, it's still slapping. Yummy!